Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
What's the deal, Panther fans? Football is here. Week 1 against the New Orleans Saints is ready to go. The Panthers are ready to roar into New Orleans and get their first W of the Dave Canales era and set Bryce on a new path. We've got a great show for you tonight. Special guest from Bayou Blitz, Brendan Boylan, is going to help us break down and preview the matchup and get the insight on what's going on with the New Orleans Saints throughout their offseason and heading into the 2024 season, what their expectations are, and how that defensive front with the newly added Chase Young will match up against this Panthers retooled offensive line. Did you know K'Lavon Chaisson, see you later. He's been released. The Carolina Panthers decided to do it with Clowney and DJ Johnson. And we've got our predictions going forward and your cat calls each and every week. I do it with my wheelman, Cody Lack. Good to see you, my friend.
Tony Dunn, the 2024 NFL season is upon us. This is our final Tuesday show before Panthers football, man. Listen, we have so many players that have so much on the line this year. Bryce Young, J.C. Horn, Deontay Johnson, who needs a new contract. Who's going to be the number one running back on this team? Tony, there are so many questions. And you know what? I don't want to answer them. Without the best damn Panther fans and all of YouTube, you already know them and love them. We got our boy Anthony, the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, Panther Pickle, C3 Josh Dyson, Charlotte Sports One. What's up, Kyle? David Scrooge, Jorge Marcelo, KG73s, Matt Knows Nothing, our Paisan Muscles Marinara, Panther Gal 73, Rock Jones, Salesman, Sean Hume, The Real AP, Tim Estes, and Tony Gibson. Hey, man, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We'd love to get your thoughts on the Panthers season opener, what you expect out of this. Do you expect a win? How excited are you about a new era? Or are you walking on eggshells as we have as Panther fans for so long? CK, the voice that makes some noise. Football is here. You're heading to the Chargers game. Not going to New Orleans. You'll be watching it in the comfort of your home. Are you ready for football?
Man, I'm so excited. And here's the thing, right? 2 days away from any football, number one. You know, we've got Thursday night
that's
football.
right. Thursday and Friday.
Right. And so we're on the precipice of being able to have either hope or a lack of hope. And so, you know, week 1, I know it's going to be it's going to be too early and against a team has too many questions in and of itself, that if we come away with the win, we're not going to be able to say this is the team. But I tell you what, it'll do a lot to answer the question about the Carolina Panthers that we've been asking all offseason, if they can come out and put on a show. And so that's going to be exciting, man. I'm going to look to see what these new offensive weapons do, what this offensive line is able to do. And then, you know, let's be real about it. Jadeceon Sanders, we're going to have a conversation about him, as he's now looking to be the starting tight end with having both of our starting tight ends actually hurt. So this is going to be interesting, man, to see this guy who has started his career where we were expecting him to maybe sit for a little bit, maybe get his opportunity here and there. He's going to be able to go full bore, and we're going to see what this guy's capable of doing. We're hoping to see flashes of the things we saw when he was in Texas, but right now, man, I think we're all excited to see what we have, and you know, we'll see, man. Once the dust settles on Sunday.
Jadeceon Sanders from zero to hero. with his new number. We'll talk about that later in the show. Guys, don't forget the C3 Panthers post-game show is back. Sunday, right
Your
about
Panthers
right
therapy session.
Oh, it's going to be a celebration. It's a party. It's a party. It might be a drunk-induced coma party at some point, but hey, no, I mean, you can't be down after week one unless it was something terrible happened. But we're going to be excited here. The post-game show will be live on YouTube everywhere you stream. You can call in to the post-game. We're going to limit to one call per person, guys, because the post-game shows get really wild and fun. That's the biggest show, man. That's turned into the funnest party you can have. A lot of people we saw at not Fan Fest, at Back Together Saturday were like, man, we put it on as soon as we're heading down to the stadium. So you guys be here 4:30, depending on what time the game ends. We'll be here for a post game every single week this season. And you can be a C3 super fan for $1.99 a month and join basically the C3 Legion out there doing things all over Twitter. Help them grow the community by smashing the thumbs up, subbing up. Let's jump into this show. Our guest will be here momentarily, so let's get through this short, quick news. I guess I was looking for stuff to talk about tonight, and maybe the whole NFL is on hush. Week 1, secret. No drones in the air, just game plans. Nobody knows anything. But the Panthers today did release a player in, I think it was today, or I think it was this morning, or sometime recently, K'Lavon Chaisson. Really, no one really. Actually, I thought he played all right in the preseason, had that interception or one that they didn't give him credit for. And now, though, I guess more importantly than him, not us relying on him, that has really very little to do with the conversation, is Chaisson's contribution to this team. But there have been a million questions surrounding the defensive end outside linebacker position that the Carolina Panthers are trotting out there in the wake of the Brian Burns exiting to New York. We've brought in Clowney. Wanham hurt, might not play at all this season. We're wondering if that's the case. And the Carolina Panthers right now are walking into week 1, releasing this player. Not that anybody's going to cry about it, but it's the Clowney and DJ Johnson show, guys.
Dude, this is a testament to how ass K'Lavon Chaisson must have been. Dude, at a time when you literally have Dave Canales telling you that it's up in the air. They don't know.
Yeah, they don't even know
who the starting outside edge rusher is outside of Jadeceon Clowney, and we're releasing a former first-round pick. This is honestly absurd. He is now the 4th Jacksonville Jaguar that the Panthers have had on their roster that they have released. Dude, I don't know, man. This is by far one of the most concerning parts of the roster. It was the defensive backfield. Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis remedied that by doing a lot of work off of waivers. But now we do not have an edge rusher opposite of Jadeceon Clowney. Now you have the entire fan base hoping that this is the opportunity for DJ Johnson to step up and prove why we drafted him, because outside of him, we really don't have much else.
I tell you one thing is the last time that we relied on a second-year defensive end to start right out the gate, he was coming off what was arguably an MVP performance in a Super Bowl. And Coney Ely was handed the reins. Coney Ely had the game, this exact game that Von Miller had. We just lost. He would have been MVP of that game. He didn't work out. He lasted one more year in Carolina. We're walking with DJ Johnson, who has not had an MVP effort in a Super Bowl. We'll like to see this player try to get to contribute, but don't forget the Ray Liotta guy. I don't know. It was Liotta. Yeah, just Ray Liotta. That's all I know him as right now.
So a couple of notes that this saved the Panthers $2 million on cap with a $500,000 dead money penalty. If he was on the 53 during week 1, weekend, his entire base salary of $1.12 million would have been guaranteed as the term pay because he was a vested vet.
Okay.
Didn't have a noticeably dominant or strong camp, and that's not. This is from Mike K. Not a particularly good sign when you can't claim a starting job with the current group in place, and you're a former first-round pick. I mean, listen, we thought that maybe this guy could turn it on and do something with us. That was just a pipe dream.
It's hard with those speed rushers with no power to just win in the NFL when tackles are fast and strong. And that's what it seems like he kind of relied on or was. Another Jacksonville Jaguar first-round pick that the Carolina Panthers, thank God we didn't start him, CK, like we had do with how long did we have CJ Henderson?
I mean,
who
3
was
years.
Released by the damn Texans.
Yeah, we had him for a while, and it felt like a steal in that moment because of his, being a first-round draft pick and that pedigree that comes with that. But that didn't work out either. I think what you start to learn, because we've done this, you want to talk about it with Jacksonville's, but we've done this with how many first-rounders? Just in the past 4 years. You have Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
you
God,
have, CJ Henderson. You have now Chaisson. It's a rotation of unfortunately recycled first rounders that we always seem to think maybe they just were in a bad situation, and sometimes that could be the case. But so far the Panthers haven't proven that to be the case.
And by the way, just as an editor's note here, I said that the Panthers have signed and moved on from 4 players from the Jaguars 2020 draft class and have moved on from all of them. That is CJ Henderson, K'Lavon Chaisson, Laviska Shenault, and Jake Luton.
What's Shenault doing now? Where did he go?
Is it the Rams?
Or I don't know if he might be in Seattle. No, I don't know. Who knows?
Chat, look it up. We can't be bothered.
No, and who really cares about Laviska Shenault at all?
No, but I mean, how concerned is everyone about this edge rusher position? I mean, like, you still have some people like David Screws in the chat who said that he still thinks that the pass rush will be pretty good this year. I don't necessarily know where that's coming from. I mean, a lot of people think that we're going to be better equipped to stop the run. And I think that's
certainly
selling points, but I don't know. To me, I think that especially with how many new pieces we have in our defensive backfield, it definitely gives me a pit in my stomach knowing how much we're going to be putting on them if the Panthers are incapable of generating that consistent pass rush.
Well, we struggled immensely last year. Roster was a little bit different last year, right? But I think, if anything, if this is going to happen, if it's going to kind of be what it was, or at least better than last year, you're looking for Derek Brown in this 3-4 with the addition of Ashawn Robinson. And it's going to be the Derek Brown, Ashawn Robinson, and Clowney show. And it's got to be, and they got to stay healthy, because if they don't, it won't. And it already is scary. At that.
I mean, just to show you what we're looking at, the outside linebacker position that we currently have listed, we have Jadeceon Clowney and then James Sheriff behind him. The other side is DJ Johnson, followed by Iku Leota. Now, Iku Leota has been very impressive, and the past 2 training camps in a row, he's been impressive. So maybe he could be another Frankie Louvu for us. I don't know, man.
It's going to be tough.
It's definitely pretty thin right now.
Panthers making a trade early on in the season, week 1, going for it all. Yeah. They're going to come and get a win against the Saints and say, you know what? I think it's our year. Let's go ahead and make a big splash right now and go after it. You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast, the C3 Panthers Podcast. We'd love to get your perspective later on the show. The number's 252-228-5098. Guys, we've got the Carolina Panthers heading to the New Orleans Saints. They are 4-point dogs to the Saints. And now it's time to preview this with our special guest, Brendan Boylan from the Bayou Blitz podcast. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast, my friend.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great. Can you do me a solid right out there? Not right this second. Give my dear friend Bob Rose a hello from Tony Dunn.
I will. He was booked tonight, so he asked me to do the honors. I guess being a guy who lives in Charlotte, it's only fitting to be on the Panthers podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're in enemy territory.
Yeah, I've lived in Charlotte for a long time. I'm repping my alma mater, the Gardner Webb Running Bulldogs. So I've been in the Carolinas for a long time. I love it here, and if I have it my way, I won't be leaving ever. I love it here in Charlotte.
Oh, right. Well, hey, you're talking to Cody Lack over there, who is like the biggest proponent of Charlotte football, or Charlotte, the city of Charlotte. Let's just look at this real quick. Cody, put the presentation back up, and we'll run through a couple of stats, and then I'll let Brendan basically take over on what he wants to talk about from this, or where he wants to start. Carolina Panthers will be obviously taking on the Saints on the road. The over-under is 42. It's a -4, or the Saints are favored by 4. If we just look at last year's stats, the Carolina Panthers were 2-6. New Orleans was 5-3. Carolina didn't win a single game on the road. 4-5 for the Saints, and really Derek Carr with a season that was so lackluster that it feels like a lot of Saints fans were ready to run him out of town. I think that was year 1 for him. But, man, if you want to look at a more lackluster season from a quarterback, that was from rookie Bryce Young with only 2,800 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. The Saints defense, let me just real quick, where is it? Ranked, how about this? Brendan, tell me this. How did you guys – what was the strength of last year's team? We know it wasn't the offense. Was the defense any good? Historically, I've been waiting for the Saints defense to fall off, go away, leave us alone. I've been a year ahead to the party each time. Did it happen last year? What was the problem with the Saints last year, and what do you see going forward?
Yeah, so I think the defense was definitely the strong suit if you had to compare the offense to the defense, given there wasn't a whole lot offensively, as you mentioned prior, and I'll get into that a little bit. The defense was one of those. See, you're the guy who says that you're waiting for them to fall off. Us, the media, the fans, etc., are waiting for them to make the jump. I feel like the Saints have been in that 12 to like 17 range in terms of just defenses for the last, I don't know, maybe since 2018, 2019, one of those last years where they really made a run at it with Drew Brees.
Right.
And Saints fans have been waiting for them to get back there. They've kind of been middle of the pack. There was some times last year, especially early on in the season, where it was really frustrating. And you could single out certain players. Like Tyrann Mathieu's first 5 weeks were horrendous, but then he closed the season out very strong. Carl Granderson had a great start to the season and earned himself a massive payday and then kind of disappeared. Cameron Jordan, I'm not
That's
sure.
That's the player
I
think of when I keep thinking of a player falling off. I feel like this dude has been in the league, I guess, since the same year Cam was drafted. And I just like, oh, it's finally time for him to stop ruining the Panthers' day. And maybe it's just from Panthers' perspective, but they had, in a sense, historically, you had been an offensive team with the Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and then somehow the Saints defense was surprisingly good for a few years stretch. It felt, or like you're saying, to me, it felt good, middle of the pack for you. Slowing down, but you guys did make some additions, some changes. Willie, hold on. We got the big one is Chase. Well, hold on. What's his name? Chase Young. Thank you. And then Willie something. Willie
Gay Jr. from Kansas City. Yeah, it's a big linebacker ad, and tip my hat to Bob Rose for predicting that one well before anybody else. That was the guy that Bob kind of went all in on, that the Saints were going to end up getting this offseason. A lot of people didn't see that happening. One, because the Saints play this weird game with the cap every offseason, and every year the people on the outside are like, oh, it's time for the Saints to pay off their credit card debt. And the Saints go, nuh-uh.
Refinancing.
Nope, we just called the bank.
Yeah, we got, what is it? What do you put when you move it around the credit card game where you get, you can transfer it for 0%. It's voodoo. We call it voodoo, cap voodoo that you guys do.
That's a good way to put it. I like to say they dance with the cap. and the cap's not real. Like the cap is a
Dance with
figment
the
of
Thank
devil.
imagination.
you. Thank you
Um,
so much. It is not real. And to me, the Saints are a testament of it not being real. Y'all have a better salary cap situation than the Panthers right now.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it every year. I mean, I guess I do. They extend these contracts out. They have these ridiculous voidable years. A lot of people made a big deal a handful of years ago when Taysom Hill signs this massive extension, right, for like $150 million. Well, like the last 4 years of that were voidable years, so it really wasn't like this massive contract. The Saints play that game all the time. The defense did get better. There is still a massive hole at safety alongside Tyrann Mathieu, and Dennis Allen even called guys out during the offseason saying, hey, we really need somebody to step up and take the bull by the horns and want this position. And the rookie from last year, so going into his second year, Jordan Howden, a 5th-round pick, looked to be the guy that it was his job to lose. Well, that's all fine and good, but when there's nobody behind him to take that job, if he loses that job, then you have a problem, and that's where the Saints are. But outside of that, Brian Bresee from at least down the street from me, down from Clemson,
Yes, sir.
heck of a ball player, super smart. You saw it on the high school tape. It popped off in college. He had some personal issues in college, and I think that reflected in the film. That's why he fell a little bit in the first round, but he played outstanding for the Saints last year. The Saints kind of reload that our defensive line, and the defense is good. The offense, though, and it was interesting that you said lackluster for Derek Carr, because I think if you look at it as a whole, it was a little lackluster for a guy that the Saints paid $150 million to. It is lackluster considering the Saints have had 7 starting quarterbacks since Drew Brees retired, and you finally feel like you got the guy. But, and I know a lot of Saints fans crucify me for this, but if you look over the last like 5 to 6 weeks of the season for Derek Carr, it wasn't bad. Right? The Saints made a push to potentially win the NFC South. Derek Carr did enough to keep the Saints in games. And I know, again, when you have that hefty of a price tag, doing enough to win games isn't going to cut it for the fan base.
And he always does something so dumb.
Oh,
in the
all
game.
the time.
Like it's
all
like it's always just like, why are you this veteran quarterback who has kind of got a pedigree where his family's been involved? You know what I mean? And then he's playing well, and then he just is like, you know what? I'm going to throw it backwards over my head or do something dumb like that.
We had a game last year that I was watching, and it was one of those games where, you know, Derek couldn't do anything right, and then he put an exclamation point on the game by throwing it onto the near side of the field, and there was not a route designed to go to that side of the field. So it was an easy interception, like super frustrating. I did see a comment in here about Spencer Rattler. I will say this.
We didn't just get a comment. We got a $2 donation from our boy White Chocolate saying
He's a big South Carolina fan.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Rattler
Well,
to another
Rattler,
team.
the Rattler hype is real. In the building, they're very excited about what Spencer Rattler could be. But there is no quarterback competition, right? This is very much we drafted the guy. We like what we saw. We like what we saw in the preseason. And we'll see
Till
what
week
happens.
4.
Well, and here's the interesting thing with that.
Yeah, go ahead. Because this sort of corresponds to what I was wondering. Go ahead.
So Carr's contract is really easy to get off of at the end of this season, right? So if Carr just absolutely craps the bed this year, I would expect the Saints to ride it out with him as the starting quarterback, because whether it's Rattler or Jake Haener, who's going into his second year, that's not a lot of experience at quarterback for what a lot of people are still projecting to be a very weak NFC South. Like the Saints could be in a situation like they were last year, where they're just teeter-tottering there at 500 and then, you know, may find themselves into a playoff spot by winning the division. So with all that said, if Carter were to be terrible, the Saints could move off of his contract because of what we were talking about, the cap and how it's not real and how the Saints structure these deals. They could move off of Derek Carr and hand the keys to Spencer Rattler. So it is a really interesting situation.
Imagine him getting benched for the second time with a giant contract. That happened to him in Las Vegas. Remember?
And Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Dennis Allen everywhere that he's ever been? Derek Carr ended up following him, and then that was I read something like that the other day. That
Well, he's the first coach that that has had the same quarterback and potentially gotten fired in two separate, for two separate teams with the same starting quarterback, which is an interesting stat to think about. But it's not that all that crazy when you realize that Derek Carr came here most likely because of his connection with Dennis Allen. So it's not a crazy stat in that regard.
So my question,
You're making me seasick, Cody.
And get over it. So listen, one, let me say this to you. I also live here in Charlotte. My next street over is South Main Street. So I share that same love for the city that you do. But to kind of go a little bit deeper on what you were just saying about Spencer Rattler. So I have a brother who's a Saints fan. He's very excited about the prospects of Spencer Rattler. How long exactly is that leash? You said that even if things bottom out, you still see them potentially staying with Derek Carr. Why is that? And do you think that the fervor behind Rattler at this point in time, especially for Dennis Allen, who, let's be real, a lot of fans have really wanted his head. They want him to be fired. How much of a leash does Dennis Allen actually let Derek Carr have when you do have this young rookie that's right behind him that has the arm talent, has all of the physical traits? He was a once upon a time 5-star quarterback. Could he end up being a spark that Derek Carr isn't?
So that's interesting. And this is the way that I've kind of approached the question regarding Carr and Allen for really the last year is they're tied together, right? So if you go back through the history of the New Orleans Saints, I wish Bob was here to correct me if I was wrong, but there has never been a head coach of the New Orleans Saints that has not coached at least into his third year before getting fired. Right. So that's kind of where we are with Dennis Allen now. He's going into his third year. So we always knew that third year was going to come. Now, with that, Dennis Allen is going to, if he goes out, for lack of a better term, he's going to go out on his terms and he's going to go down with a sinking ship. And the fact that he handpicked Derek Carr to be the captain of this ship, there is a massive leash for Derek Carr. Because Dennis Allen has a point to prove. Like, hey, I handpicked this guy in the draft when the Raiders drafted him. And I handpicked him again when I wanted another quarterback to come to New Orleans. Because remember, there was a lot of people that thought Jameis Winston was going to be the next guy in New Orleans. And I was right in that boat as well. So the fact that, Carr's hand selected over another, highly touted quarterback coming out of college and a former number 1 overall pick. Say what you will and make the jokes about Jameis Winston, but another guy who, has been to a Pro Bowl, has the arm talent, and had a few good games for New Orleans during his start. So in terms of is there a pressure to play Spencer Rattler? No, there's not. Because you don't want to call it it's not even like a love triangle or anything, but there's a massive connection there between Carr and Dennis Allen in the front office to prove a point. And I don't think there's enough of a microscope from Saints fans on the front office since Sean Payton left, because Sean Payton had his hands in everything that Mickey Loomis did, right? Sean had his way around that organization. And now that Sean's gone, Mickey Loomis hasn't made any big splashes, and Mickey Loomis really hasn't done anything that impressive, including not getting a deal done with Alvin Kamara before the start of the season. So Kamara's playing on the last year of his contract and just put his house up for sale in New Orleans, which has some eyebrows raised as well. So
how much gas does he have left in the tank, Alvin Kamara? Because first I got him starting in my fantasy team, so I need to know. And he won me a fantasy championship a few years ago, so I need
Christmas
him to do
Day
it.
game, right?
Yeah,
won a lot of people a fantasy championship. So here's the thing with that is, I think Kamara's got a bad rap the last couple years.
He missed a bunch of games.
Yeah, he's been hurt, and really going all the way back to 2019. Suspended, hurt. But if you look at the stats, And this was a big problem for the Saints last year, and I'm glad they made the change at offensive coordinator because the offensive play calling got really stale. It got very vanilla. It got very stagnant. And that's what happens when Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator for like 20 years. He is in NFL history, he's the longest standing coordinator, offense or defense, for a single team ever, like consecutively. And that's what happens is nobody challenges you. Nobody goes, hey, we really need to try this and we got to try this. And you look at the stats for Kamara specifically as a receiver, and those numbers have dropped every year since his third year until last year. He got, the reception numbers back, but the yards weren't there. The way that Kamara was being used was very, like I said, kind of vanilla. And you could see it in Kamara. If he wasn't being involved early, he almost mentally checked out. So I think this is a good, reset for everybody. And especially with Kendre Miller, who the Saints drafted last year in the third round out of TCU, being hurt to start the year, a guy that has a lot of similar attributes to Alvin Kamara. Kamara and Jamal Williams are going to be expected to kind of carry the load, very similar to how Kamara and Mark Ingram did a handful of years ago. So Kamara's going to get his opportunities. I think he's got stuff left in the tank. And I think the question surrounding that is the biggest reason the Saints didn't get a deal done with Kamara going into not even next year, because he's still under contract for next year, but he wanted to say, I want to be a Saint for life. And I think this is the Saints' way of saying, we'll prove it in this new offense. And, and honestly, the Kubiak system should really fit his skill set and his talents. And I really like him. In fantasy this week, particularly if you're a DraftKings or a FanDuel type of a person, his over-under on yards, receiving yards, is like 29.5. Like I would kill the over on that. I think he's going to have a good week.
Yeah. So, I want to sort of move into this matchup with the Panthers a little bit. We have a huge question mark at outside linebacker. So we know we have Jadeceon Clowney at one side, but the Panthers are basically saying, like, we really don't have an entrenched starter at the other outside linebacker position. However, I know that there has been some concerns at the tackle positions on the offensive line for the Saints. What do you make of Trevor Penning? I know he has a lot of opinions about him. A lot of the footage that I've seen of him has not been very good. What do you make of that Saints offensive line? And do you think your tackle positions are going to be able to hold up against our outside linebackers?
Man, it's been a roller coaster ride for the Saints offensive line, right? So you go back to the 2018s, the 2019s, maybe even the 2020s, those last few years of Drew Brees, and you could make the argument that the Saints had a top 5 offensive line in football. With Teron Armstead at one tackle, you had Ryan Ramczyk at the other tackle position. And I could fill out the rest of the offensive line, but they had a very solid offensive line. Now all of a sudden you look around, you're like, oh my God, they're going to have a rookie in Tuis Fuaga, who was the first round draft pick, starting at left tackle. And they made the switch with Trevor Penning from left tackle to right tackle, which I always say this. And as a guy who played offensive line way back when myself, it is not easy to jump from playing one position on the left to a position on the right. Like, just because you're a guard or a tackle does not mean you can play both positions, because it is entirely different. And people on the outside go, well, you're just like flipping your feet, right? Like the way that you do things is like, no. Like everything you do, footwork, hand placement, everything is different. Yeah. And it's not something you're going to pick up in one summer. So this is a big test for Trevor Penning. I will say this, that draft with the Saints took Olave and Penning in the first round. Those were my big 2 targets for them. And I was very flattered that the Saints front office listened to my opinion for once. But nonetheless, Penning is a mauler, right? He's a guy that if you put him in a position to just smack the dude in front of him and throw him into the dirt, he's going to be successful. The question was, how quick are his feet, right? Can he get to a position where he could be a decent pass blocker? And we haven't seen that. And in his defense, he's only started 7 games in his NFL career. But also, not in his defense, those 7 games have been really bad. It is the biggest question mark of the offseason. That and left guard for New Orleans. I'm not super confident in the offensive line. But in a new system where you're going to have a lot of zone running schemes, you're going to be able to move Taysom Hill around the formation a lot. And you're going to be able to get the ball out early, in theory. I think that does allow some time for the Saints offensive line to kind of gel and adjust. But the Saints are going to find out really early in the season where they stand with Trevor Penning. And unfortunately, there's not really a backup option. Like, there is no depth on this offensive line for New Orleans. They're going to have to ride it out with Trevor Penning or just ultimately cut him. And that's going to be very difficult. When it comes to facing a guy like Jadeceon Clowney, who has had his ups and downs in the league, you know, you look at what Clowney is good as a rusher, that combination of speed and force against a guy who does not have good quick feet in Trevor Penning, it could be a long day for Trevor Penning. And it could be a field day for the Panthers defense and defenses moving forward that play the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. So my last real quick question for you, and again, thank you so much for your time, brother, is Brian Bresee, you mentioned earlier. So I'm also a big Clemson fan, so it was not a good weekend for me. I'm still kind of recovering. Be nice. But Brian Bresee, what sort of leaps do you expect him to take in year two? And could he be a legitimate part of the Saints pass rush moving forward?
So I think the nice thing with Bresee, especially last year and this year, is that there's not a lot of pressure for him to step up and be the guy on the interior of the defensive line. There's a lot of depth there on the defensive line for New Orleans. And that is one thing that I don't think Dennis Allen gets enough credit for as a coordinator or as a head coach, is he has always started his defenses by building out a nice 8 or 9 man rotation on the defensive line. And that's where Bresee really got to thrive last year, because he got to be put into positions where he was going to be successful, right? And that's what makes a good football coach, or a good coach in any sport for that matter, is putting your players in the best position to make plays. In terms of leaps, I think for Bresee, the biggest box he needs to check is proving he could be a 3-down guy, right? We saw a lot of 2-down work out of him last year. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for him in terms of making that next step. In terms of being a part of the pass rush, like, I was actually very impressed with Bresee as a pass rusher, which was a little bit of a knock of his while he was in college. But a lot of that was because the Saints edge rushers did a good enough job of collapsing and forcing the quarterback to step up, and Bresee was there waiting. We did see some moments where Bresee, showed some moves, showed a little bit of his power, was able to push a center into the quarterback and allow somebody else to get credit, for the sack. Those pressures were noticeable for him. But like I said, he's got to prove he can stay on the field for all 3 downs. That's going to be the biggest thing for him. But big fan of his work at Clemson, and then obviously his first year in the league with New Orleans as well.
Yeah.
Where did you guys get? Oh, CK, you go. You need to get in there.
Well, I mean, I was going to go back to the Dennis Allen thing for a minute. So my question is, so there was a very short leash on Matt Rule heading into his 3rd season. And after dropping 1-4 and his clear lack of direction for the team, he was the first coach fired that year. And quite honestly, one of the quickest ones in NFL history, right? I almost foresee Dennis Allen being on a similar trajectory this year. And you said that there's not really a lot of pressure around the forcing Derek Carr to sit on the bench. I think that's similar to. I think the pressure isn't just a matter of what I think the pressure is so external that it forces the ownership to make a decision to move forward because his inability to move away from a guy that he believes in. And so my question, I guess, ultimately boils down to how far into the season do we get before you see, or how bad would it have to be before you see Dennis Allen being fired, say 7 games into the season?
Okay. Well, I will say this to kind of the first part. It wasn't even your question, but the statement when it comes to Derek Carr is remember we got about 7 or 8 weeks last year before he started getting booed by the Superdome crowd.
Right.
So I think you hit the nail on the head with about 7 games. For Dennis to get fired, like how bad would it have to be? I think it would have to be towards worst start in the NFL. Like I'm talking like through 6 or 7 weeks.
1-6.
1-6. Yeah. It would have to be that bad. Now,
but then you bring in Spencer Rattler, and it doesn't matter. You just get him experience, and I mean, the worst case scenario is you got a top draft pick, and you figure out if you like him or not.
And I could only see that scenario playing out is if the Saints start 1-6 and they fire Dennis Allen.
Right, Dennis Allen. He's got to be out of the picture.
I am so convinced, and it's to a point of frustration. Really, you're so convinced of a guy, and I mean, you got to give the guy credit, right? Like you guys have lived life long enough and done this podcast long enough. Like you take care of your people, right? But there is such thing as taking care of your people to a fault.
To your own detriment.
Like that's where Dennis is, right? He's taking care of his guy almost to a fault. But again, like I said at the top of this, Carr did have a pretty good end of the season. And the Saints did as well. I mean, blowing out the Falcons in the final week and really showing flashes of what the offense could be for the first time all year. That's a very small sample size, but it does give you some hope going into this upcoming.
Did you say season. The Falcons?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, don't forget we beat the Falcons.
Yeah. Well,
if you don't blow out the Falcons, I mean, we beat them without even scoring a touchdown.
I forgot about that. That was the game in Charlotte that just rained
12-9,
like
I
hell,
think.
right?
Yeah, 12-9.
I could be wrong, but I'm looking at the schedule for the Saints, and outside of this week, I would venture to guess that the Saints aren't favored in any of the first 6 games outside of this week. You guys have
read the schedule off.
So they have the Cowboys, which again, they can be hit or miss, but for the most part, they're considered a juggernaut. You have the Eagles, you have the Falcons, you have the Chiefs, and then the Bucks. And so now I'm not saying that they're not winnable, no, but I could see a scenario where it's 1-5 before that 6-week mark is up. And I could also see a scenario where you win 4 of those 6 games, but that's tougher than what I was expecting your beginning of the season to look like. I think there's a real chance what we said, the 1-5 start actually happens, and I'm being generous in saying that they're winning against us, obviously. But that's are you guys concerned about the first 6 weeks?
It's a brutal stretch, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely front heavy, because then you look at the back half of the schedule and you go, okay, well, there's the easiest schedule in the league according to like last year's
records,
win percentage. Like you get it. It's brutal up front, and bringing in a completely new offensive staff, they kind of get thrown to the fire right out the gate, right? Because you're thinking Eagles, Chiefs in particular, those are teams that are going to score and you're going to have to match.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be one of those games where you can live with you're not going to win that game like 14-10. Right. It's going to be a high scoring game. So am I concerned? Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you ask 95% of the fan base, of course you have the 5% in any fan base that's a little delusional and think they're going to go undefeated every year. Even you guys with how bad it was last year.
Oh God, we're sitting here. Some people are like, 9 games, 10 games.
You guys, I think 6 is a really good goal for the Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, if we hit 6, that's like, yeah, dude, we're doing something right.
300% increase.
Yeah, that's a drastic improvement.
But yeah, no, I think for the Saints, could you see them be 1-5? Yeah. Do I foresee that? I think realistically they'll go like 2-4, 3-3 over those first 6.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I think the question, I think, as a Saints fan or an owner of the Saints, you've got to look at is the first part of the season is the hardest, right? Mm-hmm. You got to look at how bad the losses are and how the wins are, obviously, because then that's going to change a little bit. But the question you have to ask is, do you want to throw a rookie quarterback into the mix against teams that you were probably going to be favored against if you had Derek Carr in there, and then hope that it works out? Or because, I mean, like you said, that back half is not nearly as concerning as those first the 6 games after the Panthers. So that's such a tough question I think Dennis Allen might have a big leash like you had alluded to, just based on that. I think I would be afraid because those are all winnable games in that back half. I think you have to kind of go with the punches unless it's really bad. I think it's all gotta be eye test at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be fair to judge if they were to be losing, games by 1 possession. It'd be completely different if, like you said, the eye test that Carr's still underthrowing guys, that the offensive line is awful, that there's a lot of collapses in blown coverages on the defensive side. I think more than anything, that's going to be the key to seeing like where the Saints are, because the defense is supposed to be the strong suit.
Yeah.
And if the defense is atrocious or has those lapses, maybe the leash is, reeled in a little bit on DA. But I don't know. I'm not sure if it boils down to the fact that people forget, like Dennis Allen has been a part of this organization for a long, long time. As a defensive coordinator, he was an assistant for Sean Payton before he was promoted to defensive coordinator as well. Like, he's been in the building.
Yeah, but y'all are talking shit about Mickey Loomis right now, so don't worry, man. It's the not for long league.
You're absolutely right, and that's the weird thing in New Orleans is look how long. Like, you could go that whole Mickey, Sean, Carmichael, DA, like that group. It's very rare that you see a group like that stay together for as long as they did. And then even after Sean left, Carmichael stayed a while. Dennis has been there. So that is a big question that Saints fans are asking. At what point do you start over? Like, how bad does it have to be for Saints ownership and Gail Benson to go, okay, let's just tear it all up. Let's blow it up.
One more bad season.
Yeah.
You say that.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Say that, but there's something about loyalty with the Benson family and this group, and people can't figure it out because
they got a taste of winning, bro.
Over the last 3 years, and you could make the argument that like, well, they underperformed, paid a quarterback a ton of money and underperformed. Why hasn't there been more radical changes? That has been a huge question from the Saints fan base over the last 3 or 4 years. Where are the radical changes? And there hasn't been any. So I have it's one of those, you'll believe it when you see it, right? I have a tough time believing that if the Saints go and win 7 games this year, that there's going to be radical changes after the season. I just don't see it.
Okay. So, Brendan, again, thank you so much for your time tonight. This will probably be my final question, at least that I'm keying in on. What are some of the key matchups in this game with the Panthers that you're looking forward to? And is there any aspect of this Carolina team that you think could pose a threat to New Orleans? And just overall, what are some of the interesting parts of this matchup that you think you're going to be looking at this Sunday when we play?
For me, I think the biggest thing is going to be the Saints defensive line versus the Panthers offensive line, right? The Panthers offensive line was so poor a year ago, but I actually really liked what the Panthers did in, the draft, free agency as a whole. I think that they did things that aren't going to make a huge jump for this team, but like I said, get you closer to that 6-7 game win kind of margin. I want to see how much more time Bryce Young has. And I've been on record by saying that I thought that Stroud was the better quarterback in that draft. But that I also believe that if the roles were reversed, like Bryce Young could have very well been the far and away rookie of the year if he was in Houston, right? Because that's how bad of a situation he has, or at least had last year with the Panthers. So that's the big thing. The other thing, an underrated aspect of Bryce Young's game is his mobility, right? Like, he's not going to sit there and Lamar Jackson anybody, right? There are a few people in NFL history that are going to sit there and put up the numbers that Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick did against teams, right?
Right.
But the Saints defense for the entire Dennis Allen era, even dating back to his time as a defensive coordinator, for whatever reason, cannot contain quarterbacks and give up a ton of rushing yards. So I'm curious to see how much creativity Bryce Young has throughout the contest if he needs to make a big play on third down. And I think going back and just into the log of my memory that one of the 2 games we played last year that Bryce Young had multiple occasions where he made plays with his legs and picked up first downs. You guys want another good betting line? His over-under is 9.5 rushing yards on Sunday. Smash the over.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
yes.
The
You gave me
Saints
2 good ones. The other one was Alvin Kamara receiving yards. I'm putting these in tonight. I got Prize Pick pulled up, actually.
His was 29.5 receiving yards, and I just don't see a situation where he doesn't at least
that's
get
where
the
he makes his
receptions.
money a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he'll have, even if he has 2 receptions, he could get that.
You've seen those screens. The Saints have ran screens so well for the last decade and a
Kamara,
half.
I'm doing this tonight.
Kamara over 29.5 receiving yards. Bryce Young over 9.5 rushing yards. That's my key matchup is Panthers offensive line versus Saints defensive line. Because I want Bryce Young. Like, this is going to be weird as a guy who covers the Saints and has covered the Saints for a long time. Like, I want Bryce Young to be successful because when the NFC South is good, the NFL is more exciting to watch.
Well, at least for us, it is.
Yeah, for us especially. But I mean, think about those years, those glorious years we had, right?
Yeah.
Where it was you had Cam Newton wins MVP, Matt Ryan wins MVP, and then Drew Brees could have easily won it in 17 or 18. I think he came in second in 2018. So you had that kind of elite quarterback play, and now we're like, well. We got Derek.
Oh
Carr,
no, it's the boring. We
Mayfield.
turned into the NFC West or whatever. Remember when they had it was like everybody sucked. Or the AFC South.
East.
Yeah,
I remember the NFC, and we called the NFC least there for a while. Where it was like if you won 8 games, you won the division.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at right now. So no, I want Bryce to be successful, but obviously it doesn't matter who you are at quarterback if you don't have an offensive line. Right. So looking at that, and then running backs, the running backs for you guys as well. After what was the disaster of Miles Sanders, how does this team bounce back? And
we got that solved in week 5. Week 5, baby, we got that. We got that in week 5, man. But he's got to get off the PUP list. All right, my final 2 questions are short and quick. Number 1, what do you see the outcome? Obviously win loss. I mean, I'm assuming you said 1-5 for the Saints. You're going to pick them to win. How do you see this game planning out? And I know this is crazy going into week 1. We have no idea, are we is this a boring ass game or is there some offensive fireworks from each team? Do you see, well, I guess we'll just look at it like this. The over under was 42. The spread was Saints by 4. How do you see those numbers?
I would take the under because I don't know what you're going to get out of the Saints offense, right? On paper, as we like to say on the Bayou Blitz every week, on paper or in Madden, like if I were to throw this into Madden, like the Saints should be a pretty good offense, but new offensive coordinator. This is Derek Carr's 4th consecutive season with a new offensive coordinator as well, which I think speaks, volumes to some of his early season struggles. I just don't know what you're going to get out of the Saints. I want the Saints offense to fly. I mean, we've been looking for that for a handful of years now. I think Kamara is going to get a lot of touches. Taysom Hill is going to be used in a Taysom Hill way. This is going to sound weird too with Taysom Hill. It's going to be Taysom Hill because it's like, what is Taysom Hill? We don't know, but it's going to be a more refined, kind of like how Kyle Juszczyk.
Hill, like is that even?
It's going to be like Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco is what I'm envisioning because we did see fullback looks this preseason with Taysom Hill. That's what I see out of Taysom Hill. So I don't know what we're going to get when it comes to the Panthers offense. Like, that's same boat for you guys. Like, okay, is Bryce going to get sacked 7 times on Sunday? I don't know. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't.
You got the Saints winning?
I do.
Right,
do
so
like
if
the
you're
Saints
saying-
covering the spread.
If you're saying under, we're talking a 21-17 game then.
It's going to be a boring game. It's going to be a boring game.
I mean,
If you like
21-17. I
offensive
guess for
fireworks, it's
us,
not the game.
21-17 for us, like 17 points in the game for us is like twice as
like,
much.
damn, we're scoring points.
We're winning the Super. We're winning the division. All right, my final question is this: got to ask you, why you got a picture of Jay Stu and who's the other one there? There's another Panther in that background.
That's not Dennis
That's
Smith.
Jonathan.
Dennis Smith Jr. played at NC State.
That's not Jay
basketball.
Stu.
That's not Jay Stu.
It looks like all right, chat. You sent me on a bad goose hunt. I thought I had him.
And then Kai Jones, who played for the Hornets. I've had season tickets for the Charlotte Hornets for 8 years now.
First loss for the Panthers chat for the C3 chat ever.
So yeah, no, I mean,
Okay.
you almost got me.
How do you get away with that?
No,
He looks like a skinny Jay Stu.
Shoot, I think Dennis Smith in that picture is probably 18 years old.
Okay.
Right out of college after that 1 year at NC State. So
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
That's right.
That's Sea Dog. He's coming back. He brought the chat back for a win.
Yeah, Dennis Smith's the local kid, and did end up playing for the Hornets 2 years ago now. But good story to make it out of Fayetteville, be a really highly touted and recruited, high school and college athlete, and be a lottery pick in the NBA. So, yeah.
All right, great stuff, man. Great stuff. Tell our fans, because look, we're gonna have to play you guys another time this season. Obviously, our futures will be intertwined as division opponents. Tell our fans how they can get a hold of your work. I was listening to your podcast today. I love Bob. He's been a great friend of mine for like 10 years now. So tell them how they can find your work, and we'll get you guys some listeners.
Yeah, sure. I do want to throw a shout out to Sea Dog in the chat too. Hornets are coming back. Brandon Miller and if LaMelo can stay healthy. Yeah, they are. For our work, you can find us at the Bayou Blitz. We are live every Wednesday night. You can follow the podcast at Bayou Blitz Pod on the artist formerly known as Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at BT Boylan. You can follow some of my production work at Bottom of the Mug Productions. And if you guys are, local, I'm speaking to my people here in the Charlotte and the Carolinas. If you guys love college basketball, I did a documentary a handful of years ago. You can find it on YouTube. It's called The Dancing Bulldogs, 16 Seeds Journey to the NCAA Tournament, covering Gardner Webb.
Nice.
And that documentary ended up, by the grace of the good Lord, winning multiple awards. Me and my group ended up winning Outstanding Filmmakers of the Year from the North Carolina Film Festival. So you guys go support that. Check that out. If you guys are some college basketball
And tell us the name of that one more time.
It's the Dancing Bulldogs. A 16
Bulldog.
Seeds journey to the NCAA tournament. We were really fortunate in that project. It was in 2020. Everybody was cooped up because of COVID, and we ended up interviewing like 14 of the 15 guys on that roster, multiple coaches, commissioners of some of the different conferences, and we were able to put the whole feature-length film together via Zoom. So it was really cool, quite a journey.
Nice.
And I'm still involved in film here in the area too. So it was a good foot in the door, and really excited to hopefully get on another project soon. But when it comes to Saints stuff, you can follow me Twitter at BT Boylan, podcast at Bayou Blitz Pod, and we'd love to have you guys on the show.
Anytime
when we come back. What is that? Sometime mid season. The Saints come here to Charlotte, so we'll be happy to talk then.
Fantastic stuff. You guys go check out his work. Cody Lack, it's time to get into some cat calls right now.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Let's do some cat calls, man. The number to get in contact with the show, 252-228-5098. Let your opinion be heard on the longest running Panther podcast and all of the internet, baby. Let's get it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? that kid that can use one?
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday, man. Beautiful weather here in Charlotte. You can feel it. Fall is here. Football season is back. And it's game week. Honestly, I'm very excited about certain things going into the season. Now, record-wise, I've made it pretty clear. I don't know what to expect from that aspect. But I do think the team is going to play hard this year. I think at the bare minimum, I think they're going to compete for their coach. So I think, games will be entertaining, to say the least. Now let's talk about Bryce Young real quick. Bryce Young seems to be a lot of positives for him going into the season. An article came out today talking about how Dave Canales is really asking Bryce Young, what does he like? How does he like to play the game? It feels like he's, they're trying to build this offense around what he's good at, which is what you want to see from your young, rookie quarterback. Especially considering the situation last year where Frank Reich just kind of did the opposite of what Bryce Young is actually good at, like no RPOs, no quick game, none of that stuff. Yeah, and then in terms of the Saints, I mean, I honestly see more people than not picking us to sneakily win this game. And I actually have us winning as well. Maybe it's only one of the few wins I have on the schedule this year for us, but I do have us coming to New Orleans and beating them week 1. Now, New Orleans has a good defense, like a really good defense. They're strong, they're physical. All our games are usually low scoring with them, so I expect that, a low scoring slugfest. But there should be a lot of positives going into the year. I think Javonte Sanders has a chance to really become the tight end 1 by like week 6. And I know that seems very crazy to say he's a rookie, but with Ian Thomas dealing with an injury, it doesn't seem like he's going to get that much playing time other than blocking. But yeah, there's a lot of positives, and I hope Bryce does good this year. Back to him real quick, it would be awesome just to come away with him having a really good season and us feeling good about the quarterback position for the first time since 2018, really, since the first half of that season. That way we can, build towards building out the team. And I've said it all off season, man. I just want to see what the kid can do with middle of the pack offensive help, like the offensive line and the weapons, as opposed to the last in the league. I feel good about him showing the fans why we picked him this year. I think he's going to have a good season. Anthony from Charlotte.
Keep motherfucking pounding, because that's what he was going to say. CK, one, I agree with much of what Anthony is saying. I feel like Dave Canales, unlike Frank Reich last year, is actually trying to build an offense that is beneficial to what Bryce does well, which is what you should do if you're a head coach. CK, my question to you, I'm going to ask you, throw your logic out the window. Forget the numbers. What does your gut tell you about Bryce this year? Are you nervous? Do you feel like this could go bad very soon? Or do you have a feeling like Bryce is getting ready to come out here and light it up? Just what is your gut instinct telling you on Bryce as we go into this season that has so many implications for himself and his future here in Carolina?
Man, I am I'd be lying if I told you there wasn't a pit in my stomach, with what this looks like, because the reality is, as much as whether you're a lover of Bryce Young or you're somebody who is almost rooting for him to fail, if he fails, it sets us back massively.
Tremendously.
Massively. If you want anything other than Bryce to be the guy, if you're literally at this point in time, if your thought process is you're going to be happy if you are right about who Bryce Young is, I can't understand you. I really can't. I can't understand you as a fan. I can't, because you are basically asking for this team to remain mediocre for the next 5 years. Like, that's just the reality of it. I know it can be a potential turn around before then, but odds are it's not, because we're going to, at least as much as you guys want to disagree with this, or some might disagree, he's going to get another year after this year if he shows any progress, which we all know that he will. He isn't going to be the same guy. I mean, there's just no chance anybody in a situation like Bryce Young coming into this year is going to have an improvement in their numbers, right? So he is going to get a third opportunity next year, which then means that we're waiting another, we're possibly taking that year, getting a guy, hoping that he's the guy. And odds are, unfortunately, history proves it's a very good chance that he is not going to be the guy either. And now we're going back and forth trying to find this guy. It's just, that's the pit in my stomach, is if it doesn't work, if he isn't the guy, we've got to be prepared for 5 years of just the Panthers being the laughing stock of the NFL.
Another 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take next.
Tony, well, now, hold on, Tony.
Oh.
Hey, man, we already got a short show anyway. We might as well make a show of it. What is your gut feeling on Bryce Young entering the season? Like, forget the logic, forget, what stats and analytics are telling you. Just, again, this is in C3 lore. When you're on my porch and you're telling me we have Cam Newton,
we always got a
chance.
That
was your feeling, okay?
Yeah.
We've only had 1 year of Bryce, but what is your feeling about your starting quarterback entering into this season?
All right, so if the Bill Craven's comment that was just Bryce has played like shit going into the season this year, he better prove the doubters wrong. I hope he does too, because I want my team to win. I don't fully agree with his comment. And I don't think Bryce played like shit last year, and I don't think he played well. Right? And I hate, and you can take it down now because I can't see your face, your beautiful mug. I never even got shitty on Bryce last year. I mean, I was like, yeah, it sucks that this mug is not doing anything, but the whole team stunk. I really think last year was a mulligan for not him as a player. Look, is that season counts into what he is. I think this is, look, I see Canales bringing in an offense that comes from the old Air Coryell system. It's proven in the NFL. It's not complicated. The concepts work. They make sense. They make defenses do things. I think just the structure of an offense that has an identity to it, right, I think helps. Number one. Number two, you're getting an offensive line that's improved, right? So, I mean, I really don't want to say I don't care about Bryce Young's rookie season, but this to me is a season that if he does poorly in this, then I go, all right, he played poorly, right? Last year, I can't judge anybody from last year. I think the whole team is, and I'm reluctant to say this because I said this after Matt Rule, is like the only way is up, type shit. But I think that just like keeping it simple, stupid is what this this team is going to do a little bit. So I think Bryce Young's going to improve. Now the question is, does the team improve enough? And there could be all types of shit that happens. There could be injuries. Bryce could get hurt. All of a sudden you could have a top pick and you're going, what the hell are we doing? My gut feeling is that Bryce takes a step forward, a significant step forward, because he didn't get hurt last year. He didn't do dumb shit. He just didn't do anything. It wasn't like he played poorly. He just didn't do anything. But the whole offense, how do you do anything when nobody's doing anything? And then you have moments where Bryce had to, all the Bryce lovers are like, look at this 90-minute, a whole quarter drive to go 40 yards and kick a field goal for the win, that type shit. And be like, oh, Bryce is the truth. My gut feeling is that the Panthers are better as a team, maybe not in the win category to the tune of 7 games or something, But I think we could win 4 or 5. If we win 4 or 5 games, it's not miserable looking at it last year. So I do have hope. I don't have to me is this like I'm kind of with CK is like, or in some ways is like Bryce is almost the least of my worries. Right? Is like if I feel like if Bryce plays poorly, it's because of other fucking problems. And I'm not saying he's off the hook, but that means there's a lot of other bad shit going on too. You know?
Yeah.
So I just don't know. My other gut feeling is I think playing well for I've called him the short black Alex Smith. I don't think it's gonna be Josh Allen exciting. You know, I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be pretty good. So I'm okay. I've not been down and out on Bryce at all. I think really is like it's gonna be hard to go down.
It is going to be hard to go down. I'll say this. I am wanting to see Alabama Bryce Young. I want to see him extend plays. I want to see him deliver the ball downfield. I want to see him trust his arm enough to take shots and be on rhythm with his wide receivers.
Yeah.
But listen, I don't have a strong gut feeling about Bryce coming out here and turning it on and just burning things up to smithereens. I don't know. Until he proves that to me, until I see him do that, I'm not really expecting him to do that. I think the best of what we're going to see is, for lack of a better term, a dink and dunk style of offense. And that might be enough for
220 yards passing,
that
2
might
touchdowns,
be
no interceptions.
That might be more than enough for us to be competitive.
Fucking incredible compared to what we've seen for the last 5 seasons.
That would be great. I'm hoping that we can see that. I don't want to have more questions about Bryce going into next year. I want this year to be the year that shows us we have no need to look at quarterbacks in any draft in the future. I want him to do that.
That's going to take a lot. It's going to take wins and him playing well.
I don't want us as fans to default to that because there are preconceived notion that, you have to give him 3 years. Okay, fine. But I need him to earn that 3rd year. That's all I really want.
If he does not, look, if the Panthers finish with 4 or less wins and he is met at best in that conversation is not going to be just among fans. It's going to be among the organization.
Right, but
it would be silly for it not to. It would be silly for it not to happen. Is that I'm not saying you should move. I'm just saying this. If you're sitting there with a top 5 pick again, and you have questions like, how far do you kick that? I don't know.
And by the way, 2 things. There will be quarterbacks available this year that are big time.
There's quarterbacks.
You already saw some of them.
You don't play for Clemson.
Week 1. They sure fucking don't. But there are always going to be quarterbacks that are going to come out of nowhere that are going to be available. But number 2, the reason I brought it up is because of what CK said earlier. Like, even before this year starts, there's this preconceived notion that he will get that 3rd year because that's how long it takes to build around that quarterback. And I understand that there's a lot of truth to that. That was true for Tua Tagovailoa, who often gets compared to Bryce a lot. But I'm saying I would just really want for him to earn that, instead of us to grant him that by default and say, this is pretty much what you have to do if you have that young quarterback.
I think he's got to double his touchdown numbers and get 3,200 yards passing. And I'm fine. If he has 20 touchdowns, 3,200 yards passing, I think that then you're like, hey, we're going to run it out there with the 3rd. Yeah. If he has 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions and 2,800 yards again. I mean, I don't know.
We're going to be bumming. We're going to be all bummed out.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about we're beating the Saints week 1. He's going to go out there. He's going to throw 225 yards. Chuma Hubbard's going to have 80 yards. Them rushing. Miles Sanders is going to have 40. And somehow we're going to do it. All right, let's take another call.
Hey, it's White Chocolate Espresso. Hey, if your team's 0-1, let me hear yeah. I told you, Cody. I told you. Here I am being Georgia.
Yeah, you are not
So
beating
sit your
Georgia.
ass down and have fun in your little ACC, because that's the only place you're going to win games. You
He
ain't welcome
looks
to.
like his
Stay your
team
ass
would
there.
be
If you
shit this
guys would
year.
have beat Georgia, you would have stood up. Actually,
Oh yeah, I would have stood up and done a backflip and landed on my hands. Yeah, it would have been insane. Yeah, but no, dude, shout out to Georgia. They fucking shellacked my Clemson Tigers. I mean, they still have a chance to do something since they're in the ACC and they can. It's a 12-team playoff this year. But Kev acting like his sorry ass team is gonna do anything in the
they
SEC.
got little baby Cam out
He's
there.
being
They got Cam with
crazy.
glasses.
Quit comparing people to the GOAT when they haven't fucking earned that shit, please.
He
That
looks like him. He
Urkel-looking-
literally looks like him in
He's
the
a
face.
Urkel looking
His
dork.
face. He's Cam
He's
with
a
glasses.
Dork. He's a
Face.
big dork.
All right, let's take another one.
Gentlemen, that time of the year. So what is your forecast for the Panthers season record? How many wins, how many losses? I know last year y'all got it wrong. I got it wrong too. But you guys, it was pathetic. But this year, you guys are going to give it to us straight up and not have irrational optimism or enthusiasm. But tell us, what are the Panthers' wins and losses this year going to be? What do you forecast? So tell me,
We
do you
did
think
this
that the
last week.
Panthers are going to win as many games as Cam Newton has baby mamas, which will be 3, or are they going to win as many games as Cam Newton has children out of wedlock, which would be 8? So they think that they're going to go over or under the baby mamas or the bastard children. So tell me, what is the record forecast for Tony, Cody, CK, and the Bat Daddy Boy Toy, and what's going to be the best surprise and the worst outcome? I'll start it off. Panthers season record, I'm going to go with 5-12. Best surprise, I think Dan Morgan is going to be the real deal. He's going to be a good GM. I think he can make
What
it
did
as
he say?
general manager.
12-5?
Worst outcome, Bryce Young, not the answer. Tell me, what's your forecast? What are the record, best surprise, worst outcome? And I owe you guys a super chat after you play this call. Bye-bye.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
So I'll go, since we already did the record last week. What was it? The biggest surprise, and then what was it?
He said the biggest surprise, the worst case scenario, and record.
Yeah, we already did the record, so I don't think we need to do that. We did that last week. Biggest surprise this year is going to be, I already kind of threw this out there. I think Bryce Young plays himself into the top 100. And the worst case scenario is we're taking the number 1 overall pick again next year.
He said 5-12. I got it backwards. I thought he said 12-5. I was like,
But
shit.
you know that low key could be the best case scenario.
What?
If we had the
12.
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying if we had the worst record in the NFL and we had the number 1 pick and we were able to do what the Bears did and trade down and get some more players and have more than 1 first round pick, get an edge rusher and get maybe some more wide receiver help. I didn't
don't
know.
need more wide receivers. Well, we might after this year.
We don't know. We have to see if that's but also real quick, Tony, CK, and the rest of the chat, did y'all see the clips of Cam Newton on his podcast? He had like a relationship advice expert, and they were talking about his children and like having families while not being married, out of wedlock and stuff like that. And he had this woman was like going to town schooling Cam Newton on the importance of like a traditional home with a father and mother. It went viral. It was like a big.
Oh, well, we have to go watch it, and I will get on her ass next. I'll say this is, you know what? Have as many fucking kids as you want if you can pay for them.
Oh, but that's not what she was saying. That because he was not married to any of them. He has different baby mamas. That he wasn't a father that was in the house of that family. I didn't watch the whole thing, but that was sort of why it was kind of brought up.
Yeah, I mean, well, I could see that. Is like, yeah, I mean, you know what? I think they poked a hole in the condom. Oh,
so Tony? What's your biggest surprise and your worst case scenario?
Biggest surprise is that the Panthers come out and actually, and I secretly hope this and wanted like that they're pretty good, that they're a 7-win team. Like if they're a 7-win team halfway, and we're in week 13, we're talking about trying to win the division.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be the biggest surprise to me.
And the worst case scenario
is that our defense just cannot generate any pass rush. Then the secondary can't do shit. And that no matter how well Bryce plays and that we put up 24 points, that we're getting the other team is putting up 35.
Yeah. So my best case or my biggest surprise to me would be if DJ Johnson could actually do something this year. He was pretty impressive. He was good at stopping the run. If he could actually fulfill some of that potential, I think that would be awesome. And the worst case scenario is I'm gonna be real, another JC Horn injury. That's
God, you fucking asshole.
Is that not the worst though? Like, dude, I mean, that would be another clear bust in the first round by the Panthers if that means he's another injured player who misses a lot of time this year. That would be rough.
I mean, that's the shit you don't say on this podcast, but we have to say every year. Let's take another call.
Hey, one more thing. Congratulations to Sean Butler, who passed an exam to become a supervisor today. C3 family. That's big time. Congrats, Sean.
I'm working on my new gang, like my picture sign, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause we're all like feel awkward in picture, but you like, and we always do something with our hands. You put up the piece. I used to put up the 3 for C3, but then somebody told me that it was a white power sign. So I had to stop that. So if you know, yeah.
I think we got to do the C and the 3, and then it's cool.
Yeah, too much.
But then that's also probably a gang or some shit.
Yeah, so now it's just
C3,
this.
baby.
It's this. And it's for somebody. All right. Next. So
Hey, guys.
So fuck
it's
you
the girl
too.
that makes him howl, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. We got a game to talk about, guys. Finally, it's here. The day that I never saw coming, which I think that was yesterday, too.
And tomorrow.
At any rate,
today.
it's here, and
Wakanda
we're playing
forever.
the Saints week 1. Division rival to start the season again. Yeah, well, at least Frank Reich doesn't have his mind at the beach somewhere. Well, Frank Reich did. What the fuck, dude? I need to drink more alcohol. Frank Reich had his mind at the beach somewhere. At least Dave Canales has his head in the game and his body in the game. And I'm looking forward to seeing about what we can do against the Saints or the Aints. And yeah. Panther football is upon us. So we'll see how our fall goes. We'll see if we're engaging in self-destruction or we actually can, enjoy our football team this year. But and I remember a funny story that one of the previous times we played the Saints, Tony, you said didn't you say you had gone for a surgery and your wife caught you saying after you went under, your wife caught you saying, "Oh shit, I forgot to ask if he was a Saints fan."
No, it was the doctor that
That's
said
awesome.
that. Yeah, it was the
'Cause that's
doctor when
me.
I was coming out of
That'd
it.
be just like me. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Joey, good. Wakanda forever, baby. Wakanda
You had to
forever.
dig deep for that one.
Dude, he was I forgot about that. I came out, maybe I did ask Miranda that. I forget who, but it's like I was in that propofol coming out shit, and I was like, oh, was this motherfucker a Saints fan that operated on my dumb. All right. I think to me, this is a special moment right here. This next call. I missed you, baby. I missed you, baby.
Hey man, you know
it's not even him.
Fuck it is. I'm back like the famous Jet Jackson. I'm out here selling hot cakes. And hold on, I forgot my intro. Ra, 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 ra. Hey, hey, hey.
Yes.
You know who the fuck it is? Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka! Let's go with my motherfucking dogs, man. You know what time it is. It's that time of the motherfucking season. Y'all get your fucking straps ready. Get the pads ready. We about to go to fucking war with these motherfucking Aints, man. Let's go with my fucking dogs.
God,
my
I
white
missed you,
Italian
G, baby.
brother. Man, I appreciate you from the bottom of my motherfucking heart. I always told you I ain't shit without C3, and I mean that from the bottom of my motherfucking heart. DK, what's good with my fucking dog, G? What's good with you, man? I love you guys, man. And you already know what it is, man. Cody Lack, my fucking brother from another motherfucking mother, man.
What up, G?
What's good with my motherfucking dogs, man?
Fucking good,
Had to
baby.
take some fucking time off, man. Had to take some time off from them toxic ass fans on Twitter, man. You know, I got a family of 5. You know, I'm too old for that shit, man. I just turned 33, believe it or not, man. So I'm just too old for that shit, man.
Praise
so
God.
Focused on, man. So I had to take time away from just motherfuckers that just got me out of my character, man. Hey, don't ever let another motherfucker get you out of your character, y'all, because it just ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it, and you can't go back on it.
True facts.
Other than that, let's go with my motherfucking family, man. I missed y'all, man. I need y'all, man. We all back, man. I even had to tell the queen I'm back regardless. I told her. I told her I don't give a fuck what you say. I took 8 months off. Not technically 8, man. Well, at least time from the draft, man. I just took time off from the dogs, man. I'm over here chilling, man, and I'm back, man. I'm out here chilling, man.
Love this.
And so let's get back to the
Football's
motherfucking
back.
season, man. A lot of you fake ass Panther fans make me sick. Yeah, because I've been taking time off don't mean I don't watch and I don't fucking listen. I listen to fucking C3 religiously, man. A lot of you fake ass hip hop, 10K, dick jumping ass fucking fans switching from side to side, and switching on my nigga, my light skinned nigga, King Price, the motherfucking truth. I said it, motherfucker. And a lot of y'all about to be moonwalking this motherfucking season, man. A 12-5 season with a division win fucking clinch. Fuck y'all talking about, man.
So glad.
But we don't get that
football's
fucking
back.
respect. No one respects us. The NFL respects us. Our own fucking fans don't even fucking give us respect, man. But y'all know what it is, man. It's G, baby. What the fuck y'all talking about, man? And I got a couple more fucking calls because it's game week, man.
He got one more.
My
He got
fucking
one.
brothers, man.
He
Tony, you
tricked
know
me.
what the fuck it is. And thank God for all y'all that joined the motherfucking draft.
Look, I saw his number, dude. I think I know his number. Like, and I was like, oh, this is fucking him. And then he didn't come out with the, you know who the fuck it is. I was like, oh, this is a fake ass G baby. And then he hit us with the booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. Thank you, G baby. I missed you. Football is back. This is the type. And I can't wait till the callers start arguing with each other. I love one of my favorite thing is inter-caller rivalry. I was telling my trainer today, I was like, G baby is back. He said, I saw someone talk about him in the chat last week. We're in this fantasy league with him. By the way, G baby, why the hell are there fucking 7 extra rounds in this thing? We had a draft that had so many rounds that when I opened up my team, it says you have to drop 5 people. You have too many people on your roster. There was more rounds than there were fucking roster spots.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I think part of that is you have the taxi squad, so you can put your rookies on that. So you can hold on to some guys that may turn out to be good.
Dynasty shit, so complicated.
Yeah. And then I think the other part is there's a good chance you might have wanted to draft somebody who went on IR, and so you could put them in IR. So you still could have the players that you want while still having the bench full with that draft. But yeah, it was a lot.
I was like, good God. Also, all right, here we go. Let's go back to G baby.
Hey, man, speaking of the motherfucking draft, y'all know who it is. It's G, baby, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Tony, what's good? BK, and motherfucking Cody Lack, man. Miss my fucking dogs, but like I said, man, thank God and thank you, man, just for the 11 motherfuckers that joined the motherfucking draft, man. For real, man. C3, Clash of the Titans, man. Y'all know what the fuck it is, man. Thank you for all y'all, man. Nothing but heavy hitters All three of y'all joined. Nothing but fucking love. Nothing but C3 members. I appreciate y'all, man. It's love from fucking G Baby. Y'all know what it's always been love from fucking G Baby, man. And just shout out just to C3, just in general. Like I said, it's nothing but fucking C3, man. From the bottom of my fucking heart, I believe fucking C3 for anything, man. These motherfuckers come on this motherfucking platform.
Stop, Bob.
No time off.
Have to get used to G.
Longest running fucking Carolina Panthers podcast. Hit the fucking like button and fucking subscribe to my motherfucking niggas, man. Shout out to y'all for keeping this going. This is a fucking that's like my fucking kid, my dog Cameron Jarrell Newton said. There's a difference between a professional athlete and an athlete. A professional athlete trains all year long, baby, and that's what y'all fucking do all year long, baby. So shout out to fucking C3. Shout out to the motherfucking members in C3. Shout out to everyone in the motherfucking draft, and shout out to my motherfucking dog, the light-skinned babyface assassin, the motherfucker that's gonna take us to the promised land, the motherfucking truth, Bryce motherfucking Young, King Bryce, all hell, King Bryce, booyaka, booyaka, booyaka!
My favorite color. I just was trying to show you the transcription from Google because when you leave a voicemail, it's just like all stars, dude. It's like just, my mom said he gets all right. So my mom puts soap in like as a kids like
wash your mouth out with soap.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, G Baby,
I'm glad G Baby's back.
Soap.
I'm so glad G Baby's back.
Hey,
Mom, you're gonna have to deal with G Baby.
G Baby,
and yes, he is black.
G Baby wants all the smoke and all the soap, apparently.
There you go.
But dude, listen, no, Tony, you're right. Football is so back. We are so back, dude. The energy is,
Sean said.
No matter
Sean
what
Butler said that shit looked like a text from an angry girlfriend, your ex-wife.
Dude, look. Listen, we love G Baby. We at C3 love to give everyone a platform to express their fandom. That's why we have the cat calls. That's why we have the Friday free for all. Throughout the years, we've had people tell us, "Oh, we don't like G Baby," or "We don't like C Dog," or "We don't like whoever."
Cody,
and it's like, dude, yeah, we don't care, man. We let everyone come up here and talk about the Panthers, and dude, we love that G Baby comes and talks his shit in a big way.
Oh, and he'll come after us. This is what I love about it is too. And this is what this was telling my trainer. I was like, G Baby is one of my favorite people because I don't get mad when he talks junk to me.
Oh, he'll talk so
he'll be
much
like, "You the stupidest mug I ever." And the next thing is, "I love you, my white Italian brother." It's like because that's what this is here for. We're here for. I'm sorry, Mom, for that ridiculous fanatics. The word comes from fanatic.
Yeah, and by the
G
way,
Baby is one of the biggest fanatics.
And dude, if Bryce is good this year, could you?
Oh God, G Baby just called. One call, G Baby. If he's good, if he is good, it will be the G Baby hotline. That's what we'll have to turn it into.
Oh man!
I do want to remind you that we will be here after Sunday's game for the post game, celebrating the Panthers' first win of the 2024 season. Fingers crossed. It's a fingers crossed. T.
Yeah.
The T. Oh, it's supposed to do it like this.
I don't know. I'm still a fan of the C3, man. Just shout out that, throw up them C3s,
And you gotta do this, and then you gotta do this.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Baby C3.
Want to do, man? The 3 was just cool, and then they're like, "Oh, if you tilted."
But that's what I'm saying. Don't do that, man. Hold up.
Racism ruined fun shit for us.
Hey, but we gotta start taking back shit. Just because some fucked up people say something means something, doesn't mean it does. That shit means C3, baby. C3 for life. C3 Legion out here strong.
All right. Look, what's up, C3? Not active, but I'm watching on my Xbox. Had to grab my phone and hit YouTube real quick to show my love. Nova Black. Oh, Nova Black. I didn't even read the name. I was just looking at the comment. We love you, Nova.
Nova, what's up, brother?
Football's back. Forget that. Oh, Panther Gal says, get that Mingo Bingo card
We're
ready.
gonna have to do Mingo Bingo again, dude. I think we have to.
Those are the calls. Do we really even have anything else to talk about? We got to do our picks. Let's do our picks or whatever you need to. We are Jatavian Sanders is the new from zero to hero. Changed his jersey.
Yeah. So did you put that in the show?
I did. I'm almost not even feeling the other conference. I mean, we can. Dave, how about this? Is we're preparing for the show, and I was like, oh, I'll just go to the Athletic, I'll go to Panthers.com, I go to Catgrave, I go to this, I go to the Saints websites, and it's all crickets. Like the best thing the Panthers got is Dave Canales leaning on his experienced coaching staff, which I did learn today that Jim Caldwell's still on staff. I love Jim Caldwell. Black Frank Reich.
So there was one. I intended to ask the guest about this, but it's a potential trade for Deebo Samuel since the 49ers just traded or just signed Brandon Ayuk. There's a lot of talk that the 49ers could look to move Deebo Samuel and that the Panthers and the New Orleans Saints could potentially be buyers in that market. We talked about it a little bit with Ayuk, but Deebo Samuel having that South Carolina connection, him being great friends with Xavier Leggett, is this something that the Panthers could do, or is this yet another trade that we will have no part in?
I don't think we need receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's another one of those trades we're not going to have anything to do with.
I think we need to trade for a fucking.
But also, who doesn't need a Deebo Samuel?
We don't.
Like, does Adam Thielen? Yeah, but does Adam Thielen or Jonathan Mingo really prevent you from getting a guy like Deebo Samuel? To me, it doesn't. Like, if the price is right, why not go and put all the talent in the world around your quarterback? And by the way, he's already been successful with the quarterback that's similar to Bryce.
Hold on.
I don't care about this.
I don't think you can say that, Cody. If you look at his numbers since Brock Purdy has been there, his numbers have been less than lackluster. It's all been Brandon Ayuk.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Well, but see, they also have a ton of mouths to feed in the form of George Kittle, Brandon.
We don't want to hear
Cody,
that.
You're not hearing my statement. I'm saying that you can't say the words you said because there is no evidence that supports that. When you look at
there is.
We don't need this. This is dumb. This would be dumb.
Purdy could get the ball to Deebo Samuel, and he has, but there's a lot more options over there. I think that he would fit perfectly in the type of offense that Dave Canales is looking to build. And if the Houston Texans can go out and get the Stephon Diggs, why can't Bryce Young get a Deebo Samuel? It's just like we're so down bad that we're just jaded into feeling like we don't ever deserve any of these big time players.
Because that's why you got Xavier Leggett. You know, Xavier Leggett
who cares? We don't need that. We need our defense has nobody. Like we don't need to be trading for anything.
Priority right now.
This is not going to do. What are you going to try to do? Is I have the no.
So you're telling me that you wouldn't trade a future second round pick for Deebo Samuel?
No.
That's absurd.
I mean because you're trading for his salary too.
Right.
I mean, I guess they keep the guaranteed. I don't know what that was going to be. Maybe if you're worried about not Deontay Johnson moving on, I just don't need a wide receiver right now. Like we need like a million other things, like a kicker. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like we just started the show off talking about there's going to be zero pass rush. Zero. Like the answer is not let's load up. We already mentioned that Jatavian Sanders switching from zero to hero or switching to zero and going to be a hero. CK, why don't you talk about this real quick? Because you mentioned this before the show, was it?
At the start,
or maybe at the beginning. What's going on with the Panthers tight end room right now.
So when you listen to the presser that Canales put out there after the announcement that Sanders would be taking the number 0 jersey, they're saying that he earned this jersey. It was not something that was just given to him. It was his body of work in training camp, through the rookie training camp, all that stuff. It's that he has shown up, he's been consistent, and he's performed. And I think that that's something that is clearly shows that this staff has a high opinion of this guy.
You mean that he earned the number 0?
Yeah. He wasn't guaranteed that number. They only gave it to him this week.
Like, who else nobody else had it?
Yeah, Brian Burns did.
Shut the fuck.
Yeah, who cares?
There's Marshall Jr.'s out there with damn Greg Olson's number. Shut up with that. Like, we don't get mad. But Brian Burns didn't even earn the 0.
Right. But Brian, well, he earned the 0 as though he was the superstar on the team, right?
Is that really what it symbolizes?
I think it's that 0 is one of those numbers. Same thing with like, the number 1, right? You're not going to really give that. Those are going to be kind of numbers that I believe, if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I'm looking at it as like 0 is going to be an eye-popping number on the field. So you're going to want a guy who's wearing it that's going to be a name, not just another person.
It was also his college number at Texas.
I didn't know that anybody cared about the number 0 this much.
Well, by the way,
the team cares about it more than we do.
Also, you couldn't be the number 0 up until recently,
right?
Like, this isn't something that is.
I'm just surprised that the team actually thinks that it's
but
that.
Listen,
cool.
I agree with CK though, in that from his performance on and off the field, Jadeceon Sanders, I mean, again, before playing real football, has done everything possible to exceed expectations. Typically tight ends take a little while to catch on. And again, we haven't seen him yet, but everything tends to be pointing towards him being ahead of schedule, to the point where I think he is going to be a legitimate part of this offense very early into the season, whereas I didn't really think that when we drafted him.
All right, this is a good segue here. CK is CPG said Fact or Fiction, Jadeceon Sanders will be the most productive rookie of this week. You said there were no prize picks for the Panthers right now?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. We don't have the relationship with prize picks this second.
Okay. I can put, what's your same game parlay you were mentioning?
So I just did a little same game parlay to play a little bit of, have a little fun with the game. I was like, I throw $15 at it and see, how it goes. And so my same game parlay is based on after our conversation with our guest, Alvin Kamara, 40 plus yards receiving. I kind of,
man, they went 40. He said it was 29.
Well, they when you do a same game parlay, it's not, anything crazy. They do it like even numbers basically.
Okay.
Bryce Young, 2+ passing yards or passing touchdowns. I mean,
God.
Alvin Kamara, anytime touchdown
slipping down. What are you doing this on purpose?
No,
I thought that was like a dramatic effect. He was going to show his big balls at the end of this.
That would have been funny. And then I was going to do Deontay. This is where it's going to get. It's going to be It's going to be a positive. This is going to be like a very small chance that this hits.
87 yards and a touchdown.
No, Alvin Kamara, anytime touchdown score, and Deontay Johnson, the first touchdown scorer.
It's the $3,000 payout.
And this is a $15 wager, and it's $2,300 is the payout if it hits. So
you're really doing that? You do have big brass balls on your desk. Like,
I mean, it's $15. I ain't, it's not anything crazy, but my thing is like, I think 3 of those things are a very good lock. It's the Deontay Johnson.
What website are you?
I'm using FanDuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to send that to the private chat. I might need to.
I did. I send it. But the other one I like a lot. They have this 50% profit boost if you use something, a three-leg same game parlay, 3-leg or more same game parlay with the Kansas City Ravens game. And so this one I think is like I almost want to say this is a lock. It'd be a hard lock, but I think it could be a lock. So it's Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown scorer, Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown scorer, Lamar Jackson, 2+ passing touchdowns, Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown scorer, and Zay Flowers, anytime touchdown scorers. So all I need is Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, Xavier Worthy, and Zay Flowers to score a touchdown, and Lamar Jackson to throw 2 passing touchdowns, and I'd put $10 down, and it's $961 payout.
Jeez. All right. Can we do our picks real quick?
Yeah. Let's do it. So we're picking the NFC South.
Yeah, Panthers at Saints. I hate to do it. I'm picking the Saints.
Okay.
I don't want to do it. My heart says don't do it, but it's almost like I'm reverse jinxing it. Like I feel like we all picked the Panthers.
Are you picking your score too? Are we picking scores?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 21-17.
Is that your favorite score?
No, it's the exact line. It would be a push.
Nice.
It would be an exact push. 4 points. It would be 4 points and the exact push on the over. Or no, it'd be the under. So Tony is Saints and 21-17.
I'm gonna go. Oh God, people are gonna. I don't want this to be. I just don't have any evidence right now saying the Panthers are going to beat the Saints yet. I'm gonna go Saints. 24-21 Saints.
Then I would have picked the damn Panthers if I didn't think everybody was picking the Panthers. 24-21. See, Cody, be the man of faith and reason, or faith and hope.
I don't think you can.
I am going 24-21. I got the Panthers by a few.
Yeah, thank you. All right,
that's so funny that he's got the field goal. As much shit as he's been talking about.
Win. The Panero fucking win right here. That is great.
If he gets us a W, I might have to shut up on Panero.
Who are the Bucks playing? Oh, the Bucks are playing the Commanders.
Ooh.
Let me see. NFL schedule. Let me see. I think it is. Let's see. Are the Bucks on the road? Ravens, Bucks, Steelers, Falcons. Oh, all right. So here I go. Next game, just because Steelers at Falcons.
Steelers. Oh,
I'm picking the Falcons.
I'm picking the Steelers.
Man, we have. God, what a fucking weird game that is. No Kirk. We haven't seen Kirk Cousins. Who knows? God, why am I? I'm picking the Saints and the Falcons to win. What the hell am I? Am I on drugs? No, I'm not on drugs. I need drugs to get out of this world I'm living in.
Can I help you a little bit?
Yeah.
Don't bet against Mike Tomlin against the Falcons.
Okay, I'm switching it. I'm going Steelers. Thank you. I hate the Falcons. All right, Tony's going the Steelers. We don't have to pick those scores, do we? Because I have no idea. I don't know anything about these teams. I'm just saying numbers in.
I mean, I think that we don't have to. I would still say that I'm picking the Steelers. I just don't trust the Falcons until they prove that they're a trustworthy football team.
CK,
I think they're going to run the ball with Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, 2-quarterback system. And the Bucks. Holy shit. I almost picked everybody in the NFC South. I'm picking the Bucks at home to beat the Commanders.
The Bucks at home to beat the Commanders. The Commanders. We just don't know much about the Commanders.
Jaden, actually, you know what? I'm going Commanders. I'm switching it up. Fuck the NFC. I can't believe I picked against my I'm about to change my pick to the Panthers. Commanders, Jaden Daniels, rookie debut, as good as Cam Newton's.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, okay.
I hope so.
Yeah, everybody's saying that Daniels is legit, that he's going to be the next coming of Lamar Jackson.
Right.
So I don't know, man. They have I'll also go Commanders. I don't think Tampa.
Wow, that's crazy. I thought I was being the crazy one.
No.
I'm still going Bucks. The Bucks are,
That's smart.
yeah. It's still they're still the Bucks until they prove otherwise.
I think we can really beat this. God, I'm almost going to change my pick. But I don't know about our defense. 24-21 Cody. Let me rewrite this down. Panthers. And
I said
then
24-21 Panthers.
24-21 Panthers. So then I've got the Steelers and the Commanders. Crazy. You went Steelers and Bucks, CK. And Cody went Steelers and Commanders. All right. Is that it? Can we get out of here? I mean, not get out. We got to ice some people up. Had a long fucking day. We got to get pumped for the Friday free-for-all, the post-game show. You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet, on the interwebs, wherever you listen to podcasts, even longer than damn teams, because we do it each and every Tuesday. We chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Friday free-for-all on Fridays. Also, the post-game show, which is a place to be after the game. But the longest running segment is where we got to go, where we tell some fools to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Cody, let's ice some fools up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith. Everybody's fair game. I'm icing. My first ice up pick goes to myself for not picking Panthers in week 1. That sucks. I had one where I wanted to show it, but we can't because I get demonetized because it's probably a fan. Where this girl says, she said, "What do you think you are?" And she said, "I think I'm a 6.5." And the guy thought he had his mic muted. That producer
he just starts laughing his ass off.
So, all right, but this is my ice up pick because this is kind of up our alley or at least my alley. It's not actually. Nobody dies. Nobody, but this is pretty.
Oh, I saw this too.
Good by the bee.
And there's the baby. Oh no.
The baby. I would think this was fake until I saw how fast she ran.
Oh my gosh.
Almost knocked the kid over.
The baby. Ice up.
Oh my God.
Ice up Yellow Jackets and Wasp. They've been terrible this year.
Oh man.
Yeah, those were terrible. CK, you have any?
Yeah, I got one. And this is just whether it's real or not, I don't know. But it is just funny nonetheless. So let me share my screen. You guys seen this?
No, I have not seen this.
All right, I'm gonna have. I don't know if the
Is
volume's
that
gonna
coming out of his nose or going in? Oh,
dude's just sitting there.
He's still choking. Fucking Heimlich this bitch.
Oh, what?
I want to know if that grape is coming out of his nose.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah. What? Don't do that, folks. Don't fucking try. The internet, man.
Dude, out of all the videos we played, that one might have bothered me the most. And dude, we've had people die on this fucking stuff. Dude, seeing people choke like that helplessness and just like trying to say something and this fucking jerk ass friend.
Still let him choke for trying to
has,
shove
like,
82
grapes
down his throat at the same time.
Wow. All right. So I only have 2. Okay, normally on this show, we're showing dudes getting their nuts hit really hard and we're telling them to ice up. But dude, this is not only limited to humans, dude. Because sometimes bears need to ice up, bro. And shout out to the real C3.
Is this how you fight a bear off?
Yeah, dude, shout out to the real AP. He's been sending me some funny ice up pics lately.
He hits himself in the nuts. All right, this is me.
Oh, watch him. It's like, It hurts so bad.
Do you see how it took a minute for it to hit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a graze where there's like, oh, I hope it doesn't hurt, and then it does.
Oh, he's so hurt, dude. Oh, he's like, oh no.
Oh, that's good. All right. That's good.
Yeah, that one. That one's smart. All right, the next video I'm going to show you is literally the best thing that I saw all week. I've watched it 15 times in a row. It is simultaneously crazy and some of the most athletic shit you will ever see in your fucking life. Yeah, I don't know if y'all are ready for this, dude. So apparently this dude, and listen, of course, as we always say, maybe this is completely fake, but this dude sees his girlfriend cheating with this
He's
dude.
gonna jump the whole fucking
Bro,
train.
what?
It's not a real place.
Shit.
Grabs her back.
Robs her.
What?
Shit.
Train.
Oh,
where's the train at? Oh, what if the train came
and then
close?
there's a random fucking truck.
Yeah, that's all. This is all so fake.
New York is not a real place.
You have one more.
Look how athletic, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, my man was rolling ass.
And then this Chucky.
Then a random ass.
He's followed it too. No, that's so fake. It's so fake. Fake. Because the camera work. I do want to show this. It's not an ice up, just as this made me. I was in a meeting today where you're like not paying attention. Teachers make the worst students, and this made me. I started giggling in this meeting, and I couldn't stop. And I was trying to, I just started reading the actual material and brochures to try to stop giggling. I don't know why this tickled me so much, but it said this guy be too high, and it says text, "We have your children. What are your demands?" It says, "Are you crazy? This is the daycare. We closed at 5. Come get these kids." What are your demands? I was just tripping. All right, that made me laugh today.
That one seems like it could be fake.
Yeah. Any one of those on the Internet Hall of Fame is fake because they're always screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love him. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Big week ahead. The Carolina Panthers are heading to New Orleans to get their first W, even though my stupid ass didn't pick them. But I picked them every week last year, and they still never won any games. We'll be here after the game. You got to be here. It's so fun. The post-game show, your calls at 252-228-5098. But before then, Friday, free-for-all, which has been kicking and popping, and G-Baby's been back there. Oh, booyaka. I love you, G-Baby. Welcome back. Can I say my black Utahian brother? He's from Utah. He calls me his white Italian brother. And my black Utahian. He's my black Mormon brother. He's a Mormon. He's a black Mormon. All right. Shout out to you. Booyaka. Look, you know the guys that do it with, the voice that makes them moist, Cody Lack.
Yeah.
Can you take us out of here, homie?
Yeah, man. Hey, C3 going strong into the season. Check us out this Friday for the Friday Free for All, but you can be a part of the show. Check us out this Sunday for our first post-game show of the year. That's going to be insane. And then we'll be back Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, all the streaming services. We love y'all, man. C3 Legion is strong as ever. Can't wait for the start of the season and to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. C3 Legion, keep pounding.